happens when, just like the Crew 1, the Crew Motorfest meets the time that it has to go offline.
This is what the Crew was. This is like right out of the cinematic trailer. Damn, man. Damn. Oh no, something disappeared. Oh no! Oh no! Wait, something disappeared! No! Wait! No! Wait! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! 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 Chad, no! Oh, it's so brutal! Oh, it's a massacre! Oh no!
It's an important question at the moment. See, because a very long time ago, they said this.
Upcoming content. Today we want to acknowledge that some of you voiced concern about the access to the Crew games. Today, we want to express our commitment to the future of the Crew 2 and the Crew Motorfest. We are currently exploring different solutions and can confirm an offline mode to ensure long-term access to both titles.
Now, I'm not here about the Crew 2 one. Now, I may talk about the Crew 2 one later. In fact, I've actually really been in the mood to get back into some Crew 2 content, so stick around for that soon. I'm here to talk about the Motorfest side of it. And, well, importantly, Motorfest just got a massive update. One after the Maui one that followed this showcase. But speaking of this showcase, he went on to say,
So stay tuned for more news in the next months.
stay tuned for more news in the next months. That was 6 months ago. I was actually going to make this video a couple weeks ago, before the update, because I too realized, hang on a minute, they said in the next months 6 months ago. And then I hesitated. I thought, let me give them the chance of at least whispering the name of an offline mode during the promotion cycle for the Red Bull update, or maybe after the Red Bull update. And I want to clarify, I'm not here to sour the Red Bull update. I don't want this to be like a grrr, Ivory Tower, a grrr. This is simply me saying, hey, what's going on? Where are we at? And I want to talk about the offline mode for a little bit, because other people are starting to notice too that we've gotten no news. That's why I'm making this video now, because waiting for Season 6 info didn't actually get me anything in the direction of an offline mode. I do first want to clarify that there's two ways of this that I want to quell rage and upsetting from both sides. Look, just because they haven't said anything about the offline mode doesn't mean they're not working on it. It sucks that I can't say that I have proof that they are, but there's no reason for them to not be working on the offline mode. After the showcase, the Crew 2 had that £1 discount and got tens of thousands, near hundreds of thousands of sales. The Crew Motorfest went on massive discount and got its island expansion. I've noticed more people getting into the Crew Motorfest, so they have reason to be dedicated to both these games and the future of them since the essentially, I don't think it's abandoned. I do not think it's abandoned, and me saying where's the talk about it isn't me saying, guys, they've definitely abandoned it. But then also, I do think that as an audience, we're well within our right to go, okay, but say something, I guess? Look, if they don't have a working version ready or anything to show at the moment, I guess what can they even say if they're gonna say anything? So although this video isn't to say they're not working on it, it's still to stand its ground and say, tell us something about it. Because I've not heard much from the Crew 2 audience, but I'd think the Crew 2 would probably get one before the Crew Motorfest would. The Crew 2 is now 1 year after its final update.
Dude, is this a Supra?
But that's just the thing. And that's why we need to talk about the Crew Motorfest's offline mode. If the Crew 2's offline mode is gonna come at the end of the Crew 2's life cycle, way past the end in fact, which would be great and all, there's specifics to discuss, like please make that Forsberg 350 buyable? And does every Crew 2 Summit car show up in the rotation at least once? And how's the Crew 2 Summit gonna work from now on? And I'll ask those when I need to ask them. But what I need to ask now is the Crew Motorfest's offline mode going to be end of life? Because I think if it is, that's something the player base probably needs to know. And I don't think it's a negative. If they did say the Crew Motorfest is getting an offline mode at end of life, sure. If this was something like TDU, where the future is uncertain of the game as a whole, then it could be like, oh, don't do that because one bad thing, one bankruptcy, one whatever, and all of a sudden there's no offline mode. But the Crew Motorfest is a strongly stable game now. A player base, an audience, and a fighting chance as a mainstream festival racer. So I don't think it's too bad if the Crew Motorfest got an end-of-life offline mode, but it would obviously be a little worse than a during-its-life offline mode. But that's why it needs to be clarified. Because if it's gonna be an end-of-life offline mode, they gotta say now, or else people are always gonna sit here and go, where's the offline mode? What about offline mode? When's offline mode? So unless they're gonna announce that they're adding an offline mode before the end of the life, like, I don't know, maybe year 3 or something like that, season 8, unless that's the case, announce that, hey, we're working on it. It's gonna be end of life though. We're working on the Crew 2s first. But let's talk about the offline mode, because I think the Crew Motorfest might be the best game to get an offline mode. I think this game, the Crew Motorfest, is building itself to be a great, like genuinely amazing game to pick up in like a decade from now, 2 decades from now. And let me explain why. The very reason that everyone complains on Forza. It's that little 4-letter word. Say it with me. FOMO. Which, if you didn't know, FOMO stands for fear of missing out. Time-limited content, like battle passes or specific 1-week only rewards. You have to go on the game this month to get it in the season, or else it might never come back. Or you have to go on to win it in the summit, or it might not come back. You have to go on to get the stickers. Did you? Or they might never come back. But the Crew Motorfest has been making massive strides against this. First of all, the main stage legacy. Any single summit. I love this feature, man. Every single summit in the Crew Motorfest makes a return to events from that summit with all the themes, with the cars you have to buy. It becomes a pseudo playlist, and it brings back whatever vehicle was in the main stage that update. Not only that, but the main stage itself has simply become a way of bringing back cars that are still locked to the Crew 2, meaning that eventually every single car will be available in Motorfest, and with the main stage, they're being reintroduced, available new to Motorfest only players. It's actually a really interesting thought here, by the way, because they've only got about 2 years worth of Crew 2 Summit cars left. That's a lot. But that was calculated at 5 every update. But it seems like they're not bringing Twitch drops back viable now. So I guess they just bought themselves an extra update or 2. So I guess 2.4, 2.8 years they've still got left, but then eventually they're gonna have to start putting new cars in the main stages, in the main stages, and eventually they're gonna have 2 little summit cars left, and so they won't have any that match the theme anymore. So they might have to slowly sprinkle in new main stage cars with the Crew 2 cars that actually match whatever the theme they want to do that month. But the thing is, the Crew Motorfest doesn't just bring back the Crew 2 exclusive vehicles, they have exclusive vehicles all on their own. But the thing is, when this game goes offline, and it's a decade later, the Prestige ticket store is still gonna be there, and it's gonna have so many cars by that point. My word, I just thought, oh wow, there is gonna be so much. Every single summit car will have come back here and will be available to someone picking up the game in 2035. But also, that means that with the Prestige ticket store, with the main stage legacy, there is most definitely the ability to play this game offline without touching the summit or the main stage. The things that at least mostly require to go up against other players. But let's talk about something important with an offline mode that it leads on from where I am right now, the Prestige Ticket Store. See, vanities are also here. Here's a change that I want them to make that not only helps with an offline mode, but also helps with vanities to begin with. First of all, the crew, I'm not gonna say it again, please bring back the other vanities that were in main stages in the older main stage legacies. No one can ever get the Hoon It Up kit again because it was in this main stage, and for some reason, the crew, instead of bringing back the emotes, instead of bringing back the clothing, instead of bringing back the standing positions, instead of bringing back the vanity items, instead of bringing back the engine sounds, they're bringing back the bobbleheads. But besides that, I think we are long overdue a vanity store overhaul. This style of vanity store that was in the Crew 2 as well was Fortnite-like. The store changing every week, and there was a limited number of things like Fortnite used to be back when the Crew did this change. And have such a limited vanity selection, and have it weekly at all. Look, I know I love the whole weekly themed thing, but bear with me. I think that the vanity store should have every single shop vanity. I don't know about the UI. Obviously, try and, maybe filter them into tires, filter them into the different types, and, some kind of search system. But have every vanity in the store. But you see all these vanities here? Make them limited time 20% off featured here, in like the big top thing and over here, but then you scroll down and you have every vanity to buy from. I think genuinely on a base level, this is a win-win because it allows players to finally buy from all the vanities in the game. It keeps a weekly themed idea to the vanities in the game by still having these be here, but just make them 20% off and featured to the top. And it makes them more money because people can just go in and buy more vanities. Am I taking crazy pills? I feel like that's a win-win, especially for them making more money. Tell me right now, would you not buy all the vanities you wanted that you've been sat here waiting for? Would you not buy them the moment they came into the store if the vanity store had every vanity item? And then, because there's a discount, actually being like, oh, okay, yeah, I might as well buy whatever the current week's featured item is. And that helps for offline mode, and just do it in general, please and thank you. Let's talk about one of the many elephants in there's a lot of elephants in this room, but another big elephant in the room is the PvP. If the Crew Motorfest is going to get an offline mode during its lifespan, then I think it makes sense to just say, well, just like the summit, just like the many other things, you just can't do them if you're playing offline. But another thing that I think is really good, if the Crew ever was to go a decade from now, but also something that I feel like would still be good if they did that beforehand, is what I think they should do with the PvP. I think that the PvP in the Crew Motorfest should be filled with bots. Now, I don't mean the public matches. I mean that when you are in the offline mode, or are playing this game past the days the servers have shut down, that when you load in with bots. Now, it can be 28 bots, I don't care much. Even if it was lowered to 15 people, make specific coded bots for the Grand Race and for the Demolition Royale and for any PvP mode that we ever have in this game. Because it would be a shame to lose these modes with the server shutdown. Because the thing about these modes is these modes actually run on servers. The Crew 2 shut down, the Crew 1 shut down, sure, but the Crew 1 didn't actually run on servers, it ran peer-to-peer. Same with the Crew 2, same with the Crew Motorfest on open world. That's why there's no cross-platform in the open world. And the cross-platform being in the PvP is because the PvP runs on actual servers. So it will have to shut down. So my hope is that they make offline versions of the PvP so we aren't robbed of it when the inevitable happens. They've coded those brand new rivals that they added to behave differently, drive differently, race differently. Do the same. Have them randomized through cars, please, because obviously, eventually, you're gonna just be racing the same cars over and over again, no matter how many different specs. Have them randomize through different cars. What the hell was that? Physics, hello? But hey, if I'm showing SidWaj Jr., if I'm showing KidWaj this game in 20 years, look, I wanna be able to say, and this KidWaj, this is what we had instead of the Crew 1 PvP. Please add the Crew 1 PvP. While I finish off this grand race, I think it's worth bringing up a vague point that kind of leads to the last point, and that's modding. Because modding's probably an issue with an offline mode during the game's life cycle. The moment you make an offline mode, well, you then allow people to be able to launch the... And look, the anti-cheat in the Crew Motorfest is pretty good. You basically just can't launch the game. No one has a working repacker. Oh, no one's even really made an unpacker for the Crew Motorfest. There was for the Crew 2, but no one could ever get it to actually change things meaningful and then launch the game still. But an offline mode would lead to something like that. And I'm not gonna pretend like mods in the Crew Motorfest wouldn't be really interesting. And, you know, just like it did to content creators on Need for Speed Heat, be a second life of content to the Crew Motorfest. But we're in a game with PvP. And in a game with a leaderboard. What happens when someone in offline mods their account to be level 5,000 immediately, and all of a sudden they're in the top of the leaderboard and gonna get their name on the star? Did you even remember that they did that? I completely forgot that they did that. Did you remember the fact that people get their names on these stars down here? What a thing that just doesn't matter anymore. I appreciate the thought, but look, the Crew, make it the best in the summit or something, you know? Don't just make it, I have a software that clicks a button for me. But what happens when someone sets their thing to 5,000 and then go in the online mode? Are they gonna have to ban modding overall just to counter the modding leaking into the online? What about all the car releases? I mean, Forza already has a problem with car releases and content creators leaking cars because they, well, technically are in the game and just need accessing. And there's already an updates leaking problem in the Crew Motorfest. Do I really want that to extend to all the bottom of the barrel content creators are making videos on modding cars that aren't in-game yet in-game, and I just can't? Because I'd actually get repercussions for it? Remember, the Crew's never banned someone. They're not in the history of this game has there ever been a recorded ban. But speaking of the main stage, I talked about offline mode once, but there's something I didn't mention for the main stage that I wish I did. Here's how I think the main stage should function after the end of this game's life cycle. Hear me out. Hear me out. The final main stage that they add should have, hear me out, 100 levels for the lower tracks. They should all have 100 levels each. And then there should be one new car at level 3 here. And this can stay the exact same. I don't care much. Maybe it would be nice to have a bunch of extra rewards, but put a bunch of rewards in these lower tracks and put 100 levels in them. And I don't mean make them easy. I mean make them work. Because that way, you've done the perfect thing. You've stretched what is a monthly progression system to be a someone picks this game up in a bajillion years, pick it up and are like, oh, the main stage. Oh yeah, okay, that's what I have to do. That is my progression system. I think that's ideal. I think it makes the most sense that on the last update of the Crew Motorfest, the main stage should be 100 levels, 100 levels, 100 levels, and then maybe something crazy, but more levels here too. But if we get an offline mode during the game's life cycle, I guess you're just gonna have to switch off the main stage. Or have a permanent offline mode main stage. Oh, that's an interesting idea. I just thought of that one. Permanent offline mode main stage, where you go into offline mode and you have like a different main stage that doesn't update based on what the current week's theme is. Huh. could be an interesting idea, actually. Oh, yeah, and then the custom show. Put fake vehicles in there, and, closed up for business. See you in the Crew 4, I guess. And that was not only an important discussion that we had to have about, hey, where's the offline mode? You guys said you'd talk about it in the next month. It's been the next month. But this video was also, what does a Motorfest offline mode look like? Which I did talk about in a video a while ago, but I wanted to update all of my thoughts now. And of course, subscribe if you want to catch the news of an offline mode when we get the news of an offline mode. This is the channel where you'll see it first. That's going to be about it from me. Thank you so much for watching. In a bit.